Hello and welcome to another episode of the Discussing Resilient podcast and another episode of Infection Critical. This is the series where we look at the best Death Guard list that performed in the week that's passed. We have one list to look at this week. It's been fairly quiet for Death Guard, but we're still going to get into it. So just a very quick recap for anyone who's new. This is a weekly video where you look at the best Death Guard performing list of the week, whether this is an event win or if it's something like a 4-on-1. We look at the list, we look at the units they brought, then we're going to look at some of the matchups, and then I try to reach out to the top player to get some of their feedback on how they felt their list went. So if you do like this kind of content, please feel free to leave a like and subscribe. If you really like the content on this channel, feel free to become a member, a Plague Marine, and basically you get to join the Discord server, you get to join giveaways, get your list reviewed in Plague Surgery streams, etc. So let's get into it. So list of the week this week is Robert Percival, who went 5 wins, 0 loss, and took home the gold at the Throne of Skulls event, 74-player major, well, Suit GT event at Warhammer World itself. So I want to clarify this, and I want to shut this down before anything happens. People are going to say, Aiden, that doesn't count. It's a weird event. They had weird rules, and it wasn't 2000. Yeah. I hear you. Whatever. Sure. Okay. So despite that, there was some changes to the rules on this event. It was using all current rules, but there was a list building restriction where you could only bring one of every unit, plus par battle line and dedicated transports, which were capped at 3, and it was 1,750 points rather than the usual 2k. That being said, I don't think that's any reason to detract away from Rob's performance. He still managed to get the 5 wins, 0 loss. He was playing against opponents with the same restrictions that he had himself, so his list building skills and his play on the tabletop still matters massively. You don't get a 5-0 for no effort, so even with the restrictions in, I still think it's really cool to celebrate, to look at his list, and at the end of the day, Nurgle's flag is flying over Warhammer World right now, and I think that's something really cool and shouldn't take away from anything that Rob has achieved here. So congrats, Rob, on the win, and let's get into your list. So he's rocking a Biology Putrefier and a Foul Blightspawn, standard combination there, probably going to go with 10 Plague Marines. We've got a Lord of Contagion rocking Deadly Pathogen, who's an extremely scary melee beat stick. The +1 strength, +1 attack really helps, and if you ever get the +2 strength, +2 attack, he becomes a monster. We've got a Chaos Lord, interestingly, because again, remember, we have the limitations on this, so we can't double up Bioplague and Foul Blightspawn, with a Plague Fist, and rocking a Tallyman as well, so probably those two in a squad is going to be an interesting combo. Then we've got Typhus, of course, Typhus is amazing, and Mortarion, the big lad himself. Supporting this, we have 2 squads of 10 Plague Marines, one rocking full melee with just 2 spewers, and the other one rocking more of a melter / spewer setup, so a bit more shooting in that second squad. My guess would be the second squad is probably going to join with the Taliban and Typhus, probably to make use of that +1 to hit. The heavy plague weapons hitting on 3s will make up for the lack of as much melee weapons in there because they will be more consistent. The Chaos Lord giving the reroll 1s to the squad as well is going to actually make heavy plague weapons very reliable. They're hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s. Everything else in the squad's hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s. So you're actually going to make landing a lot of hits, which is fantastic. Now, he's also bringing a squad of Death Guard cultists. Again, just great, fantastic. Unfortunately, not a battle line for us, so he won't get to bring more than one, but still bringing one shows the utility that this unit can bring. We've got one large squad of Death Shroud Terminators, again with a limitation of 1. I think you commit to this if you go for the full 6 rather than 3-man. They're going to be joined by either potentially Typhus if you need a more defensive matchup, combine it with the -1 ballistic skill weapon skill modifier to have the unit effectively -2 to hit, which is really nice. Or you can put Lord of Contagion in there where you need a more aggressive matchup and just pump that damage up through the roof, because a 6-man squad with a Lord of Contagion rerolling all hit rolls is going to demolish absolutely anything it touches. We also have a squad of 10 Poxwalkers. Again, these guys can possibly be used to just hold home. Worst case now, you can put them in strategic reserves, then come in, score secondaries, but more than likely these guys are going to screen or just hold your home objective. Then we have a single Predator Destructor rocking Las Cannon Sponsons. It's a great little tank, it's always useful, it's 130 points, can shoot at enemy elite infantry, it can punch up with its little Las Cannons when you need it to. It's just a good all-round and cheap vehicle, which is really nice given the points limitation of this event, and we've already got Morty and the big brick of Plague Marines and Death Shroud, so it's very nice that it's cheap. Then we've got 2 Chaos Rhinos. Again, we say it all the time, a walking Plague Marine is a dead Plague Marine, so make sure you have a Rhino for each of those squads, of which Rob here definitely has. And then last but not least, we have a squad of Nurglings. Nurglings just great for blocking stuff like scout moves by using Infiltrate. They can also be combined with -weapon skill and ballistic skill to have that aura of -2 to hit in close combat, which is extremely powerful. But overall, it's 40 points. What else are you going to do with it? They're useful. They can score some secondaries like engage on all fronts or behind enemy lines, anything that doesn't require an action. But honestly, just stopping scouts or stopping infiltrators where you don't want them is probably one of the best uses of that unit. So a very cool list. Again, the limitations that you can only bring one of each unit. That's why there's so many one-ofs. Par the battle line, which we got 2 ofs. But again, he can't double up on his Bile Blight spawn by his Putrefier. Some people might be saying, why not Plague Bust with the other second squad? But I actually like this bit of experimentation. Chaos Lord with the Plague Fist and the Talisman actually makes that second squad just as scary. Because you got to remember, the limitations are going to be on our opponents as well. So you're not going to see stuff like triple Deathwing Knights or triple Inner Circle Companions or triple like Death Company. So actually experimenting a bit is a great choice here because people won't see it coming. And the Mortal Wounds could actually come into play. Again, if they have only one of, because you can only take one of, a very key unit, those Mortal Wounds off the Chaos Lord could start plinking it away and actually end up doing more damage than you'd think. So, round by round breakdown. Round 1, he went against Blood Angels, rocking Dante with a Sanguinary Guard. He still brought the 10-man Death Company Brick. That's a very scary unit still to have, but backed up by a lot more shooting than usual. A Repulsor and a Redemptor Dreadnought. So Redemptor is still scary, possibly a little overcosted, but they are tough to bring down, especially in this list that doesn't have dedicated ranged anti-tank. They can be quite hard to bring down. Armor of Contempt and Cover is going to give it a 3-up save a lot of the time. And the Repulsor can carry around some. Don't worry, there is other stuff in the list like Assault Intercessors. So the Repulsor can carry around Assault Intercessors, which are really nice. But the main things in this list are the 10-man Death Company Brick, the Vanguard, and then the Shooting Support. If you manage to get a jump on the 10-man Death Company Brick and the Vanguard, then you're going to have a good time. And the Repulsor, if you can potentially pop that, is going to take away a lot of the shooting firepower. We don't really tend to struggle into the melee matchups as Death Guard. We have quite a good record into them. But the shooting firepower support here can actually make this a lot harder. Now, Rob said in this game, his opponent made a critical error where he charged his Sanguinary Guard and his 10-man Death Company Brick into a Death Shroud unit, which unfortunately was misdeployed, he said. The opponent then swung with the Sanguinary Guard and Dante, completely bounced, to which then he paid 2 command points to interrupt the order of combat, swing and entirely annihilate the 10-man Death Company Brick, which then meant next turn the Death Shroud then picked up the Sanguinary Guard too. So a huge swing in that combat. Bit of a blunder on his opponent's part, but it happens. Like, again, he shouldn't have made that mistake. It's on the Blood Angel players' onus, that one. So congratulations on the first win. Next up, we have a 100-29 victory against the Eldari, rocking a 10-man Wraithguard Brick, which is giving me PTSD flashbacks, which is definitely not something I wanted to hear today, but oh well. A 9-bike Brick of Wind Riders, which is quite interesting. Wind Riders can be kind of scary, but at the same time they're fairly squishy. Like normally we just Plague Burst crawl it to death, but a fantastic target for the Predator, because again, 3 wounds on those bikes, it's going to be really nice for that Predator to connect with that autocon and kill them. The Wraithguard Brick can be tied up fairly easily if you can get into it. It depends how much screen and other things there are, but should you get into it at any point, you're going to have quite a good time at killing it, especially if the 6-man Death Shroud ever do manage to connect off a rapid ingress. And then an Avatar of Cain, which normally at this points level and this restrictions could be an absolute nightmare. It's hard to bring dedicated anti-tank because there's only allowed 1 of each unit, so the Avatar can be extremely tough for certain armies to kill. However, Rob has brought Mortarion, so if he does run into any problem units like this, we're going to ignore that half damage. You're going to put the damage straight onto him. All it takes is a cheeky las cannon to go through and you can potentially half health it. But yeah, the Avatar will most likely be brought down by pure weight of fire here, and ignoring mods is just the nail in the coffin really for that guy. 129 victory. Rob said that the Eldar player got very aggressive, a bit too overconfident, came into Death Guard, didn't respect Death Guard's close range output, and paid the price for it. Next up, we have 123 victory, so his opponent scored 13 points on Custodes. Always makes me smile. With 3 MSU Custodian Guards, so 3 4-mans, and then every kind of Dreadnought they can bring. So you got the short sword and shield guy, the spear guy, the heavy Telemon, and then a single Cladius Grav Tank. My opponent said once again, this was more down to his opponent not really respecting Death Guard, not understanding the damage output, kind of moved too close, and then he might for a huge punish. This list was always going to struggle the second the Custodian Guards kind of go down. There's just nothing really that can score. Like, the Dreadnoughts are okay, but that's about all they are. The Cladius is scary, but one of them, again, I've had experience against a single one, will struggle to kill Mortarion in activation. It usually takes 2 or 3, of which case you then have time to sort of retaliate and get back at them. But really, I can see this list struggling against us. The Plague Marines plus any form of ignore modifiers from Mortarion will easily kill the Dreadnoughts with the lethal 5s. The Predator, if it ever gets a beam on this Custodian Guard, all it takes is a few failed 4-ups, they could pick them up easily, and Mortarion's not going to be into too much danger as long as you don't overexpose him. But again, in this matchup, if you did overexpose Mortarion and get him charged by like 2 Dreads and a Custodian Guard squad, as long as you are ready to pick them back up in response, you will come out on top. And it looks like he managed to come out on top on this one very easily. 123 victory, congratulations, and always funny to see a Custode getting beaten up. His next game, and possibly what looked like probably one of his hardest ones off a list perspective, was against Astra Militarum, and he got an 89 to 57 victory, Leman Russes and a Dawn, so tank commander, one of every kind of Leman Russ and a Dawn. That is an extremely scary list to face in this kind of like format. Again, you only have one of each unit. We don't have it's very hard for us to bring anti-tank at the best of times, never mind against people that can spam tanks, because technically they're all different data sheets, Leman Russes, and also a Dawn on top of it. So speaking to Rob, he did confirm this was probably one he was scared of the most, but the hero cultists actually saved the day. A cheeky turn 1 scout move and charge actually engaged 3 of the tanks and move blocked another one, which basically prevented the tanks being able to push out of their deployment, and the blast weapons that they had all taken were struggling to kill every single cultist that were in the squads. He was kind of refusing to fall back and shoot because again he didn't want to give up his shooting elsewhere into other targets, but in doing so, because he went so heavy on the Russes and the Dawn, didn't have many scoring units to play the actual game with, and that's where Rob managed to basically take over the game. And then he finally connected with stuff like Death Shroud into the tanks and the Plague Marines, and then managed to start picking them up. And once the Leman Russes started to vanish, the output of the Guard and basically any command he had on the table was basically nullified. So a nice win there, and again showing the importance of having a unit of cultists, that scout move and stuff in the right matchups can absolutely win you a game. Last up, we've got a game against Dark Angels, again running a Gladius task force, so this meta build. He has brought the Lion, but again the Lion actually has a chance to shine in this format, because again it's a lot harder to deal with the Primax. Staple units, so we've got a full Deathwing Knight squad, a full squad of Inner Circle Companions, so again very meta. So even though this is more of like a fun event with the 1750 points and the limitations, people are still bringing staple units. Again, look at the top 10-man Death Company brick. These are staple units of these archetypes. So to see them is still, people are not going easy on this. They're still bringing the best list they can with the restrictions. He's also then got a Repulsor and a Gladiator Lancer. So actually some, again, that scary long-range firepower that's actually going to back up these very tough, durable, like brawling units, such as the Deathwing Knights. The Lion can be quite scary. And then the Inner Circle Companions. Now, Rob said this one actually wasn't too bad in the end. Basically, he managed to pick up all of this, or like the sort of scoring, and then they got the Deathwing Knights who got ignored by Mortarion because of -1 damage, and they died. The real fun part of it for him was when he charged the Lion with both Mortarion and Typhus at the end of the game, when he'd already locked in the win basically, but the Lion having fight first, and he knew this, but again he was like, okay, the Lion can't kill them both. Turns out the Lion can kill both, as both Mortarion and Typhus did die. Thankfully though, it did not cost him the game, but again just a testament to the Lion's output, but sadly proving that all the output in the world doesn't matter when you cost 350 points and you're not really buffing your army in any other way, apart than being a giant beatstick. But yeah, it was a good breakdown of rounds. He got to face lots of different opponents, which is always what you want when you go to an event. Did manage to dodge like Sisters and Hypercrypt or anything like that, but again, would that be the same at 1750? Debatable, because again, a lot of their power comes from spamming like Triple Castigator, Triple Doomsday Arc, so it's a very different format, but I don't want that to take away from the fact that he performed exceptionally well, managed to get the win in these games, and managed to basically take over Warhammer World with Death Guard. So don't expect any buffs anytime soon. Now, speaking to him, he basically said that he brought Mortarion because, again, as we said before, the idea was that people would be struggling to bring lots of good anti-tank because, again, you're kind of limited by the limitation of 1, so Mortarion had a lot more chance to survive. That being said, Mortarion did still die a few games, so it does kind of prove the point that Mortarion is not invincible, but he did take enough firepower away from the other units to allow them to perform. He agreed that the cultists honestly were probably one of his MVP units for the entire event. Just the amount of little tricks you can do with them, little scoring, forcing bad trades, all these good things that cultists bring to the table that a lot of these opponents seem to have neglected. When I looked at their lists, a lot of people weren't bringing little cheap 30-point, 40-point trading units. They just wanted to get as much power as they could inside the 1750. it looks like the 250 points they cut from their list was all of the cheap scoring stuff and the things that kind of make factions work. Rob didn't make that same mistake. And again, it shows in the results because he managed to get a lot of good trades off in his games and some of them crushing victories as well. But it seems like he had a very good event. He said he super enjoyed himself as well, and that basically he was surprised actually by the Tallyman Chaos Lord combo and would like to test it out more because it surprised him with how effective it was. Admittedly, it's not a Foul Blight Spot and Balance Putrefier combo, but again, it is also a bit more impactful and it's a bit less risky due to not relying on the 4-up to hit with the Plague weapons, which can be swingy. I've had it before where I've landed, out of 15 attacks, I've landed like 3, which is very frustrating. But yeah, congratulations to Robert there. This is our Death Guard list of the week. I'll be back next week for another list. I know there was another one this week that I went to CruitCon. Australia is a different meta entirely though. It's very hard for me to talk about. It's a very Wild West kind of meta. But if people are interested, I can cover that on next week's episode. But let's hope for some more, because a bit of a quiet week this one. This and the CruitCon one was the only results put up by Death Guard, even including 4-on-1s. So hopefully next week a bit better news. We've also got the roadmap coming next week, so maybe some excellent news for the army in general. But for now, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, I like to try and keep these short, just a bit of short, quick content for you guys to sort of keep up with the meta of what's going on with Death Guard. If you enjoy the content, please check out our sponsors on the screen. Saltire Games have an Etsy page which makes a gaming aid set that is themed around our podcast. Use promo code NERGL to get 10% off your order and support the channel. Check out Vanguard Tactics. We've got some affiliate links in the description below. You guys can obviously use them to get onto their courses and stuff, and it lets them know what we sent you. But also just check out the YouTube channel. Lots of good videos, back reps, etc. Thank you to our YouTube members. Again, continued support is insane. You guys keep us going, and yeah, I'm still blown away that we've got as far as we have, and let's keep growing, hopefully. And last but not least, if you are in the UK and you want to place an order for some Warhammer soon, consider placing your order at Element Games using our affiliate link below. We get some crystals, you get some crystals, everyone wins, and everyone gets a little bit of something back in the future. So thank you so much though for tuning in for now. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I will catch you all on the next episode. Stay rotten, everyone, and we'll see you later. Take care. Bye-bye.